This is the Diamondback Overdrive for 2015. It's a hardtail, like off-road trail / mountain ready electric bike. And I really love the weight distribution they've got going on. You can see the motor real low, centrally located along with the battery pack. But before I jump into those, let's just touch on the bike itself. So got this beautiful red color, gusseted, really burly frame. It looks awesome in my opinion, and it's got that nice slap guard on the back. It does come in like 17-inch and 19-inch, so decent fit for people with different body sizes. I love these pedals. It's like MSH bikes. It's got these beautiful like set screw traction points that really feel good, and just a really big surface area there. And of course they have reflectors and stuff for safety, which is really nice. 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, front and rear. We've got this Tektro Auriga-E lever, and you can see there's actually a second wire coming off of these levers, which cuts off power to the motor. So this bike has a throttle mode and pedal assist, and when you're in pedal assist, if you pull the brakes, it's gonna kill it, and that's key. Like, that's really actually very handy, because this is a mid-drive bike, and when you're shifting gears, sometimes you can tap those brakes, get the motor to cut off, and then you can shift more smoothly, and so you don't get mashing happening back here. So it does have a 10-speed cassette, SRAM X7, decent component group here, really nice looking. On the front, it's just a single ring, which is fairly typical of electric bikes in general, not just mid-drives, but especially mid-drives, because it reduces the complexity. You don't have a second derailleur that you have to tune up. There's a lot of force being applied right here, and what they've done is created this nice channel, this chain guide here, as well as a bash guard. It's aluminum alloy, so if you do come into contact with some rocks or something, that's going to protect the teeth on that front sprocket, which is really great. So good thinking, and it keeps the chain a little shorter, a little bit tighter. 10 speeds is actually pretty good when you're benefiting from that extra power of the motor and stuff. So good setup on the drivetrain right there. Nice RockShox suspension fork in the front with lockout. So it's an air fork, and that keeps the bike relatively lightweight. This is about 50 pounds. And I say relatively, it's a lot heavier than a regular mountain bike, but you're benefiting significantly from that mid-drive motor. This thing climbs great, and it's quite efficient actually, because you're leveraging those rings in the back. Got these nice big tires here, rapid Robs, and good traction all around. And this is actually a 29er setup, so 29 by 2.25. And what that means is that you've got a higher attack angle, so you can roll over curbs or sticks or, ruts and stuff a lot easier, and it's gonna feel more smooth than if you had a smaller wheel that would tend to fall into those cracks and bumps. So this is a good setup. And with this frame size, this is the larger one. There is enough clearance. I wasn't clipping my toes or anything when I was riding. And that's one of the trade-offs. If you go from a standard 26-inch wheel, it's a little smaller, to 29, that you do get better rolling momentum, but you also, it's maybe not quite as quick and efficient in like technical moments. So this is a good kind of a cross-country setup that they've got. And it's got these Presta valves and everything. Quick release front and rear, which is awesome for servicing, like if you have to, true the wheel or fix a flat on the trail. It's awesome that you can do that. There aren't like extra wires and stuff from a motor back here. With some of the older electric bikes, you have like a hub motor, and it just made it a little bit trickier to deal with. It's not the case here. All of that is right there, as mentioned before, kind of low center on the frame, and I really like that. So let's talk about that drive system. This is a 350 watt geared mid-drive motor. It says Curry Tech. It's actually TransX who makes these. They've been doing a pretty good job. It measures your torque as well as the speed that you're going, and that is important because it smooths out the ride. If you didn't have quite as many signals being measured, the bikes can sometimes feel a little jerkier, or you can have this feeling of like surge, where you get power when you're pushing down on the pedal, but not when you're cycling back. This smooths the whole thing out, and it rides pretty well. I'm pretty impressed. This is several generations into this Trans X design. You know, real small and relatively lightweight right there. And of course, powering that 350 watt motor is a 48 volt, 8.7 amp hour lithium ion battery pack. You can see it mounts right there where a water bottle might otherwise go. There really isn't room to mount a bottle cage anywhere else. You could add something onto the seat post or the back of the seat, maybe use a camelback. That's kind of one of the only negatives to this design. But I think the positives far outweigh it, which is just, you know, its balance. Keeps this thing steady while you're riding it. And that's important when you're off-road. You don't want to have a bike that's bendy or flopping around, that kind of thing. It is removable. There's a key right here. Unlock it and pop it right off. You can charge it on or off the bike, which is super cool. I tend to store my bikes inside, but if you don't have room inside, well, you can leave the bike out in your garage or whatever, but you can bring the back in. And it's good to top that off after pretty much every ride and kind of keep it full. Every few months, if you haven't ridden the bike, top it off. Try to avoid extreme heat, extreme cold, and that's going to make the battery last a long time. But this is good technology. Lithium manganese cells in there. They're going to last a long time. And the pack is replaceable if you need to get a second one. You know, maybe you use this to commute to work. You could charge at work, that kind of thing. But, you know, it's really meant for the trail. So that's kind of it. The other thing I should mention here is, in order to get it to go, it can be a little confusing at first. You can't just hit the power button up here on this remote button pad. You actually have to power on the battery first. So I press that rubber button, it lights up, the LED is telling me about how much electricity is in there. It's not full right now, but it's got enough to give us a good little demo. I press the power button up here, and you'll see the screen. It does like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it goes right into my speed. So right now we're standing still, it's 0. This bike has 4 levels of pedal assist and a throttle mode. Throttle mode is kind of what you'd expect. Actually, never mind, this one doesn't have a throttle mode. It works a little bit differently. Since this is designed specifically for trail riding, the throttle only goes to 6 miles per hour, and you can activate it at any time, any of these assist levels. But if you want, as long as you're pedaling a little bit, then the throttle will go up to 20 miles per hour. And the other neat thing about this bike is that it's not limited to 20. In pedal assist mode, you can get 20 plus, maybe 25 miles per hour. So it's kind of a speed pedelec, which is cool. So let's see, we've got these 4 different levels of assist. One of the neat menus in here, when you hit this I button, you can kind of see from speed to the odometer, that's total distance this bike has gone, distance, which is like trip distance, how long you went this trip, and range. Range is so cool. It actually takes the battery level that you've got remaining, and it factors in what level you're at here for pedal assist, and it estimates how far you can go. So right now on level 1 it says about 15 miles. Level 2, 13. Level 3, 11, 4, 7. So you see we get progressively lower estimated range because we're using more power. So that's cool. That could help you plan your trips. Let's see, and we'll go back to speed. There's this little icon here for backlighting. It lights up that display. Probably can't see it right now because it's bright out, but there's also an automatic light sensor right here. Kind of kicks in. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on this thing and show you what the motor sounds like. And I'm gonna start off in throttle mode. Remember, it's only gonna go to 6 miles per hour, and then it's gonna cut off. There we go. It got us a little higher than 6. The thing is, right now I'm in kind of a harder gear. Okay, so it was kind of like kicking in and you know, struggling to get us going a little bit. The neat thing about this mid-drive system is that when you switch gears, the motor benefits just like you do as a rider. So go down to a lower gear. Oh boy. And you could hear that mashing when I did that. It's because the motor was fighting with the chain, and that's what I mentioned earlier with the brake levers. So the key, I think, is to kind of, you know, shift, like maybe like gently let off the pedals a little bit and then shift, and that way you're not grinding the gears. It's a good motor setup, but it's not quite as sophisticated as like the Bosch system or the impulse system that senses when you're shifting gears, and it's doing measurements like 1,000 times per second. This isn't quite like that, but it's also a little cheaper. This bike's about $3,300, and it's got the throttle mode, and it's a speed pedal X. So, you know, there are some things to consider when you're comparing electric bikes. But overall, this is a pretty decent setup. So I'm going to go ahead and do pedal assist level 4 now and get it going a little faster, so you can see how responsive it is. Watch when I stop pedaling for how long it takes for the motor to stop turning the chain. That's how responsive it is. So you can see it's right on. It kind of senses when I start pedaling, and when I stop, it kind of winds down. Definitely gets the job done, but there is that kind of banging, crunching noise when you're shifting. So you want to kind of work with the system. Otherwise, it's going to wear out your chain and your cassette a little bit faster. So that's about it. Let's maybe go a little bit faster this time. Woo! Almost up to 20. Doesn't take too long at all. And again, this has a pretty good range because of the efficiency of that mid-drive, especially if you use pedal assist only. There we go. Yeah, very satisfying. And I like the grips. They've got these lockers on them, so they're not going to twist. It's a decent setup overall. So that's the Diamondback Overdrive, new electric bike for 2015. For the full write-up on this with specs and pictures and stuff and other electric bike reviews, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.